So what's next? It's a question we plan to answer regularly on a bunch of topics, but tonight it means what's next for President-elect Donald Trump's plan for a wall along our southern border. Trump took a ton of criticism for that plan, and not just from Americans, but from people in other countries busy morally posturing against the United States. But did you know that there are border walls and fences all throughout Western Europe? I didn't know that. That's why we're joined tonight by Fox News correspondent William La Jeunesse, who's got the whole story. William, great to see you.
Well, Tucker, you know who else got criticized was George W. Bush when he called out the National Guard to build a fence on the southern border. Democrats said it wasn't going to work. World leaders criticized him as insensitive and cruel. Well, those same countries are suddenly building their own walls. Austria, Greece, Hungary, Norway, Croatia, India, Kenya, to control their borders.
At the end of World War II, there were less than 5 border walls anywhere in the world. As late as 1989, when the Berlin Wall came down, there were about 15 border walls. Today, there are almost 70.
Now, as for critics who say for every 12-foot wall, there's a 13-foot ladder, implying that walls are useless, well, by themselves, that's true, but they're not. They're backed by cameras and sensors, manpowers and roads, and enforcement isn't easy, but it is easier, Tucker, with a wall than without one. By the way, apprehensions since the George Bush wall, down from 1.2 million to 400,000. Tucker?
Yeah, it worked well in Israel and the West Bank. Suicide bombings basically stopped. So what are Trump's plans for border security?
Well, right now we have about 350 miles of fence. Trump, as you know, is debating about whether or not to put in a brick-and-mortar wall or a double-layered steel fence like the one in Yuma with a road in between. The 2008 Secure Fence Act called for an additional 570 miles of double fencing. Here's why.
By having a fence in conjunction with cameras and a road, usually we're able to see people coming as they approach the fence. We're able to see them as they're starting to come over the fence, and then we're able to move resources into position so that when they do come over the fence, we can quickly go in and make that apprehension.
Now, the problem with bricks and mortar wall is you can't see through it. Water often needs to pass under it. And as soon as you're done, the cartels bring out the jackhammers. They're on the back side. They carve into it, and it falls down. The fact is, Tucker, topography usually dictates design. Some areas need fence, others do not, or is not economical or practical. So that's the situation now. What the Trump administration will do, we'll have to see.
Interesting. So what's the status of all the Central Americans on the border now?
It is really bad. I talked to a senior border agent today. The problem is there are so many. They're coming over about 40,000 a month right now, and our bed space is entirely full. They don't know what to do. They're erecting tents right now in Texas, 4 to a tent, because they want to contain any kind of outbreak. Basically, the problem is under the Bush administration, prior to President Obama, a border officer would interview the person. If they didn't have a credible fear, they don't believe they were politically persecuted, just general violence, they would turn those people in for return. And all the unaccompanied minors would be returned. That is not the case under President Obama, so they're filling up. We have a backlog of 4 years and 560,000 cases in the courts. These people, as you know, 85% of them don't show up. But right now, the border agents are extremely frustrated because the Central Americans fear that Trump is going to put in a wall, so they're all coming right now. Right. That's why we have now reassigned 150 agents to the southwest border to deal with the surge. Back to you.
This is how radical demographic change happens, for sure. William, thanks. That was so interesting. I appreciate it.